Feeling temperature 103. Light winds expected. Partly to mostly clear overnight in the muggy mid-70s. Partly to mostly sunny, hot again Friday in the mid-90s. It looks like a hot weekend coming up. Low to mid-90s Saturday and Sunday. Partly to mostly sunny. Slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm. Your life, your music. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. The US hopes to see a major disarmament by North Korea by the year 2020. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Seoul briefing South Korean and Japanese officials. FIFA has awarded the 2026 World Cup to a joint bid by the United States, Canada and Mexico. And Italy's Prime Minister has threatened to cancel a visit to Paris on Friday amid a row with the French president over a migrant ship.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Quabila Jones, and my very special guests today are Dr. Sharice Jones-French from Arkansas State University, where she's a history professor. We have Brother Bernard Cobbs, who is our very own on Victory Praise Gospel on Sundays and All Gospel Wednesday.
Good morning, everyone.
And we have Miss Chelsea Chapman from the city of Jonesboro. Good morning. All right, so this morning we're going to be talking about our upcoming Juneteenth event. KLEK is hosting its first Juneteenth. From what I've heard, it's not the first event ever in Jonesboro, but I apologize, I don't know all the details, and maybe Dr. Sharice can fill us in on some of those as we go along. However, this is KLEK's first Juneteenth event, and let me tell you, it's been exciting but trying at times, but I'm just excited for the information that we have prepared and the speakers we have gathered to share their thoughts on the matter. But today we're going to get into a little more details. Dr. Sharice Jones-French is going to give us a breakdown of what Juneteenth is and why it's important that we as the African American community should celebrate it. So I'm going to let her get started.
Okay, good morning, Jonesboro and surrounding area. Just a very, very brief history of Juneteenth, and I'll say more about this on Saturday, but essentially it's the day on June 19th, 1865, when African Americans in Texas learned that they had been emancipated. And so what's significant about that, and what most people don't realize, is that just because Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, it doesn't mean that it freed everybody immediately. It doesn't even mean that people were aware that they had been freed. It was a process that took some time. So if you were in a southern state that was in rebellion against the Union during the Civil War, people in those states were emancipated. So if you were a slave in a border state, you were not emancipated, right? So what happens on June 19th, 1865 emancipates African Americans in Texas, but it also emancipates African Americans in other places as well.
Okay, and again, like she said, she'll give a lot more details about the history on Saturday. So if you would love to hear more, we encourage you to please come out. The speakers start at 12, and we have a great lineup of individuals from the community that are going to be speaking on various topics such as diversity, unity, inclusion, everything that we hope this world stands for. So but we have put a lot of effort into planning this event because we want people to remember. Let me start over. Let me go back to the theme. The theme of this year is remembering the past to build a better future. Slavery happened. We can't ignore it. We can't get over it. But we want to remember what happened, but build on that so that we can build a better future, especially for the generations to come. Brother Cobbs, let's talk
Yeah.
about, this. We just started putting this together, maybe 3 months ago?
As we started in, I think it was in March, I wanted to do an Africa in April. And we were saying that was too close. And then I said, okay, well, then let's do Juneteenth then. Legan, station manager said, we're running back Quabila and see what you all could do with it. Quabila was kind of hesitant at first. She said, it's just a little bit too close. We got to do this. But she picked up the ball, as they said, and ran with it. Yes, she did. She has done a wonderful job thus far. So we're asking you all to please come out. These last 3 months, we have been working on this at Juneteenth celebration. As you all know, my speaker was, of course, Miss Sharice Jones. That's all. She would make a good speaker. And then next thing you know, she got involved, and then Tiffany got involved, and then next thing you know, we have had a lot of people that really wanted to help put this on. We didn't do it by ourselves, but I just want to thank Quabila for pushing it, keep pushing it, and kept pushing it until it is what it is today. It was an idea that came into reality for KLEK to do it, because Leganzi told me, he always tells me, he said, whatever you want to do, you got to do it. You got to do it. I'm not including, but I think he really pushed it, so he really got involved. I had to sit back and look. I thought he said it was just me and Quabila. Nah,
yes.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's Leganzi. But we have had a nice time. We had a little disagreement. A lot of people don't want to participate because of this, because of that. But I'm telling you, if you don't want to didn't participate this year, we will be back next year.
Yes,
We'll be knocking on your doors next year.
Okay. We have some Facebook shout outs. I want to say good morning to Miss Billy Hill. And I'm guessing Leganzi's checking in. He says good morning all.
Actually,
And
that was me.
okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Sharice.
That was who?
Dr. Sharice and
Oh.
I thought
and
my
then
name would show up.
Miss Maddie
Yeah,
Warren
it showed up.
for checking in. Thank you all for checking in. I want to bring Chelsea into the conversation before we get deeper into, why it's important to celebrate Juneteenth. Chelsea is our resident millennial. And so I want to get her perspective on, okay, I'm at the age where I've noticed a lot of ups and downs, ebbs and flows of people are aware one moment and they're not aware, and then now it's this stay woke movement and this, there's so many different things going on. So from your perspective in your generation, can you tell us how you feel about Juneteenth and why you feel it's important for people of your generation and younger to recognize and celebrate it?
Yes, ma'am. I feel that Juneteenth is very important for our generation to celebrate because we got here on the backs of our ancestors, from them enduring everything that they've endured. I often think about how mothers were ripped away from their sons and things like that, and just think all the time like I would lose it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's very important that we're aware that those things happen and that we pay homage to those things.
Okay.
And like you said, the Stay Woke movement is very alive and prevalent and going on in our generation. So I always pray that we stay woke in the appropriate manner, and that we honor those things that we need to give honor to.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. All right, Dr. Sharice Jones Branch, you're a history professor, and your knowledge is unfathomable. And I'm sure you run across information all the time. Slavery was 153 years ago, but while there's been some progress, there's still more that needs to be made. Can you share with us because of what has and hasn't happened over the decades, centuries, I should say now, can you share with us why it's important to really study and appreciate and honor and celebrate?
Well, my feelings about that are this. No, we should not get over it. There have been other things that have happened in American history, and no one else has been asked to get over that. And so why would you ask people to get over what was probably undoubtedly the biggest tragedy in American history? Number one. Number two, I tend not to always think of slavery in terms of Black people's victimization. It was certainly that. Okay. But what I also tell people is we survived.
And
We survived. We're still here, and we forget that even under slavery, people were still smart. People were still aware of their environments. People still took advantage of opportunities to grow and thrive where they could in an extremely oppressive system. And they carried much of this with them even after emancipation. And what people fail to realize is emancipation didn't mean that the world was a wonderful and welcoming place after that. It meant the exact opposite, because the cultural dynamic had shifted, and now you had people who had been formerly enslaved who were trying to enjoy the benefits of freedom. And there were more than a few people, both North and South and West, who did not want that to happen. So I think of it often in terms of victory because of what people were able to accomplish despite some of the most difficult circumstances in this country, despite racism, despite racial and sexual violence, and the list goes on and on and on. But people were about the business of institution and community building despite that during and after slavery.
I must say, I've been doing a lot of research. When we first started, when the idea first came to the table to host this event, and I started doing my research because I wanted to make sure that I had the proper knowledge, and I wanted to also build a connection to my past. Mm-hmm. Like, even though I've never done one of those DNA tests, so I don't know exactly where I'm from or my ancestors are from. However, I know there's some connection to Africa, and
of course.
I wanted to build a connection and really know what I know when I start speaking. Mm-hmm. And so I ran across several documents. Of course, as you mentioned, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863. Mm-hmm. And so I read this, I don't even want to call it an article, a snippet that may have been in a newspaper called Freedom to Slaves, where it was an announcement that went out January 5th of 1863, stating that President Abraham Lincoln had signed emancipation. However, like you said, the Civil War was still going on at that time. So technically the slaves were not free because they were enlisted against, they didn't have a choice. They were enlisted into the military to
Some
serve.
chose to. I mean, on the Confederate side or the Union side?
Well, the Confederate side.
Yeah, some of them, they were definitely impressed into service, which is another myth that needs dispelling, which is that these folks willingly chose to serve in the Confederate Army. Why would they? That's counterintuitive.
Yes. And also during my research, I ran across another newspaper clipping, and this was announcing that Major General Granger had finally made it to Galveston, Texas. Mm-hmm. Now, while emancipation was official, it also states that it says slaves and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. Mm-hmm. So they were free, but still not, because they had to remain on the property.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, that and I wrote an article about this maybe about a year or two ago, and the title is "How Free is Free."
Oh.
I mean, how are we defining freedom, and on whose terms are we defining freedom? Because as soon as these people are legally emancipated, all the mechanisms immediately go into place to control these people, to contain them. Because if you're talking about the rural South, this is the labor force. Mm-hmm. Agriculture didn't go anywhere. This was the labor force. And in a state like Arkansas, black agricultural labor and white agricultural labor, but if we're talking about the Delta, black agricultural labor was the labor force well into the 20th century, and at least as far as the 1960s.
Wow. So there were still many hurdles to overcome during this time. And I'm sure there were a lot of mental, emotional, psychological issues they still faced during that time. We have to remember that, again, slavery, I guess you say, and I keep using air quotes, sorry, but
that's okay.
Officially ended 1865. Let's think about our oldest living relative and then count back a couple of generations from that. So I think to my family, my great-grandmother, she passed away in the 1980s, and even then she was in her 80s. So I would say my great-great or even great-great-great, so maybe one or two generations past my great-grandmother,
it's not that long ago,
was born into slavery. Absolutely. Or a product of that. And that's why Juneteenth is so important to me. I've been telling everyone I know, please consider going to an event in your area. Celebrate this.
Or commemorate it. Celebrate and commemorate it. Yeah. And I wanted to say something about the point you were making about your grandmother. A lot of people don't realize this, but during the 1930s, during the Great Depression, people who were working for the Works Progress Administration during the New Deal traveled throughout the South collecting oral histories of people who had formerly been enslaved. Wow. And so what I'm saying is you can look at narratives from people who were alive in the 1930s, and they may have been in their 80s, but they were alive in the 1930s, and they had been enslaved. They might have been children, right? But they had been enslaved, and so you can look at those documents, you can look at the transcripts, and they will talk to you about what they experienced or what they remember. So they remember, the plantation or the master, or even when the Civil War began, or when Union troops showed up. So all that documentation is available. And also in terms of the psychological struggles, one of the big psychological struggles was finding lost relatives. Someone had mentioned earlier, I think it was you, Ms. Chapman, about how relatives were snatched away from each other, never to be seen again. One of the first things these folks do is they start trying to find their lost ones. People, you can look at old documents and people will say, well, they don't know what they're doing and they're wandering aimlessly, that's why they need to be enslaved. No, they're trying to find lost relatives. And as a matter of fact, if anybody's interested in this, there's a book by a professor named Heather Andrea Williams, and it's called Help Me to Find My People, The African American Search for Family Lost in Slavery. Okay. So well until the late 19th, early 20th century, if you look at some African American newspapers, some of which don't exist anymore, but they have been digitized, you will see ads where people are saying, I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I remember my mom from, whatever, Mississippi. If you have any information on her, please let me know. So into the 20th century, they're still trying to find lost relatives.
Yeah, and that's kind of hard too, trying to find lost relatives, because I was told when I was growing up that my great grandmother was saying you took on the name of your slave owner, and that made it more difficult.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course, nobody's keeping records of
what
your name was, so memory becomes incredibly important. So you may not remember a name, but you'll remember a place. Okay. And so if this is the last place where you saw this individual, you're going to hit the road to try to see if that person is still there. They probably weren't, because during the Civil War, they're moving and they're shifting people all over the place. But family was and remained very important to black people.
I want to ask Brother Cobbs before we go to break. We still have 7 minutes, but and this is not okay. You're in a different generation than I am, and so
she's saying you
watch
old.
Watch out now.
I just want to know.
I'm glad to get there.
We asked Chelsea from her perspective, what does this mean? But from your perspective, what does this mean for you, and what message, do you try to get across to people in your age group or even older about recognizing Juneteenth?
Well, my age group, everybody know me. I'm outspoken and I'm very opinionated on a lot of things, and they begin to ask me. A lot of my age group do not know about Juneteenth.
Wow.
And I began to tell them, because they didn't learn in school. I mean, Arkansas, it was really segregated on their black history. And so a lot of them do not know anything about it. I'm like you said, trying to educate a lot of them. Somebody said, that's just somebody just trying to throw together and have a party. I said, no, it's not that. It means more than that. That was the day we was free. It's not 4th of July. That's the day that we became really emancipated, so we can have our own freedom. Although when you became free, you still stayed with a lot of them say, well, we ain't free today, we're not free. But you're better off than what you were, than what they were in a lot of places. And so it's letting us know now that we can travel past Craighead County, past Monroe County, past, Arkansas, and still yet engulf and succeed. But so many times they just stayed in that area, and that's one of the first things I wanted to do. I graduated from Holly Grove High School. I said, I'm getting away from here. I'm getting away from here. I'm not a farmer. Then look at my backyard. It's
And we talk about this all the time.
it got
Yeah.
much in my backyard. I'm gardening. I said, but you take this along with you with what you know, because I learned that from my ancestors about gardening. And so, a lot of people my age, a lot of them still don't. They try to. I put it this way: a lot of them is stuck on the mentality. Excuse my language, Mr., Master, and you respect
Plantation
them
mentality.
and all. Yeah, still have that plantation mentality.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Very much
You
so.
can go down in Monroe County. They have rows of houses, plantation style houses.
Wow.
And they're living in it, but they got the Cadillac in the driveway.
Okay, we're going to leave.
They still have that, but they still want to go forward. And they're kind of caught in the middle.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They're kind of caught. They just...
They can have a Cadillac if they want.
When we come back from the other side of the break, we're going to talk about more about the event that's coming up. We're also going to talk about how can we start now to try to really break some of those chains that are still holding us in bondage that we have allowed. We may not be in those physical metal iron chains, but we still are in bondage to some degree. I want to give a shout out to Angie Abawaz. She's gonna kill me. Dr. Lily Fierce, good morning. Miss Robin Hernandez says, good morning, Miss Chapman.
Good morning, TT.
And I think this is Mackenzie checking in, I'm not for sure.
Twice.
That's me again.
Okay.
Oh, that's you?
Clara Hodges and Mary L. Bankston Nash.
Special good morning to them. Clara Hodges is watching from my hometown in Charleston, South Carolina, and Mary L. Bankston Nash is watching from Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Oh, well, thank
Oh,
you so
okay.
much.
All right.
And Dr. Lily,
Reaching out.
Dr. Lily Fierce says, great discussion. Well, stay tuned, Dr. Fierce and everyone else. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll pick up this discussion. You're tuned in to KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Do you text your kids just to encourage them? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Susan and I often use texting to encourage our kids. Sure, there's no substitute for face-to-face conversations or talking on the phone, but texting is often an easy way to quickly communicate with our children. I want to inspire you to send one text message to each of your kids or grandkids each day over the next 10 days. Here are a few ideas to help you get started. You can text, "You're an incredible young man. I'm so honored to be your mom." Or maybe you can say, "You're going to make a great wife one day." Another text could be, "I love you no matter what." For more text to inspire your child or grandchild, visit my blog at markmerrill.com. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
KLEK 102.5 FM will host our first annual Juneteenth celebration, Saturday, June 16th, starting at 10 a.m. at University Heights Lions Club Park by Success School in North Jonesboro. There will be speakers providing educational information, performances by local dance teams, poets, and musicians, along with food, bounce houses, and games for the whole family to enjoy. We would love for the community as a whole to be a part of this celebration. If you would like to be a part of our Juneteenth celebration, visit our website, klekfm.org, or call us at 870-203-9951. The KLEK Juneteenth celebration is sponsored by St. Bernard's, the Multicultural Center of Arkansas State University, Bancorp South, Jonesboro Police Department DARE, and Spacewalk of Jonesboro. Support for KLEK is brought to you by
At Glen Sane, we don't just sell cars and trucks. We build relationships. This is Danny Ford. We have a long list of customers that are also our friends. Always know we're here for you. Glen Sane, God bless our troops.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Victoria Evans. I have always had a desire to help others in need and to be an example and role model to young women by encouraging them to never give up on their dreams. My dream was to become a police officer and to serve my community. In 2016, that dream became a reality, and it is the most rewarding experience of my life. Now I want to let you know about the same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing every month for patrol officers. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com or at the Police Department, 1001 South Caraway Work. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information is available at 870-935-5657.
Centennial Bank, member FDIC, is a customer-focused bank that provides a broad range of commercial and retail banking and related financial services to businesses, investors, individuals, and municipalities. Centennial Bank has 9 locations in Northeast Arkansas. 870-268-2300. www.my100bank.com.
The Epic Center, located at 1899 Hasbrook Road, County Road 333, is Jonesboro's newest venue for entertainment for the entire family. They offer an auditorium with theater-style seating for up to 1,100 guests, a large stage, professional lighting and sound, dressing rooms, concessions, and more. Available for weddings, concerts, pageants, birthday parties, showers, and more. Booking and other information is available at Epic Center Jonesboro on Facebook, epiccenterjonesboro.com, and at 870-530-5841.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We have been having a very great discussion concerning Juneteenth. KLEK is hosting its first event on Saturday, June 16th, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the University Heights Lions Club Park. We would love for the community as a whole to come out and join us as we celebrate and commemorate the ending of slavery for African Americans for blacks in America. I'm sorry. Dr. Sharice Jones-French is going to get me on track here pretty soon.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so I'm trying not to get tongue-tied and nervous. But anywho, we're going to...
Nervous? You?
And if you are, it's okay.
I'm nobody. You can talk in front of me.
Oh, goodness.
I'm royalty 10 times removed.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, all right, so Miss Clara says, proud of you, Dr. Jones. And for those of you watching on our live stream, Dr. Sharice Jones-French has posted several links to interesting books that you may want to read to learn more about slavery and other events surrounding that time period. So please check that out when you have some time. And don't forget about your local public libraries. They may have copies of these books, and they're free with the library card.
Or they may be available as ebooks.
Yeah.
So you can just download it to Kindle or something like that.
That's right. So please check those out. Now we're going to continue with our conversation. Before we went to break, I asked Dr. Branch to lead us in discussion about how can we start to break the chains that we now face. We may no longer be in those heavy metal, iron, whatever material. The chains were at that time shackles. However, we know the society, we are still living under some form of slavery. And I would also love to get Chelsea's perspective, because not to pick on them, there are just some things that I notice from my age, from my perspective. There's some things I wish people your age would do different, but I can't. You have to live your life, but at the same time, we need to still be more aware of what's going on. So, Dr. Branch, can you enlighten us, please?
Well, my most immediate thought about that is I tend to be very careful about pointing a finger and assigning blame, because the current generation, the previous generation, the next generation, we've all got work to do, and nobody has figured it out. And what is required as we continue to move forward is collective effort. And I don't believe that you can have that if we do things like, and of course, I'm of a certain age, right? I understand, and there's a tendency to do that, but I would say that we all need to be working together to move us forward. Mm-hmm. And everybody has ideas that are worth something. One of the things that irritates me is when I have someone in a class who's of a certain age, and they'll say, well, I lived history. Well, you know what? Everybody lives history.
We're living it now.
We're living it now, and everybody's story matters. You may have had more of a story than someone else, but even if you're 25 years old, I don't know how old you are, Ms. Chapman, your story matters. Your opinion matters, your thoughts matter, and most importantly, the energy matters, because there are things that you have the energy, both physically and mentally, to do that I don't have, and well, Bernard probably has it, but some of us are tired. But my point is, we have to be thinking along those terms, and not in ways that are more divisive than anything else. Along those same lines, I think what's also important is that we do have an understanding of our history, because we have to reverse the psychology about that, because far too many of us have been told that our history doesn't matter, that it's not important, that we never did anything. I tell people all the time, particularly students who want to major in history, that my parents didn't get it when I told them I wanted to become a historian, and not because they're bad people. They're wonderful people, they're very smart, they're very well educated people, but they grew up in a generation where nobody taught African American history. Okay, so they taught Booker T. Washington, maybe not Rosa Parks, because they were kids when all of that happened, but they had their basic staples in African American history, and there was nothing beyond that.
Okay.
And so they simply did not know. But now they're just like sponges for information. And so I think part of it is recognizing that we have a wonderfully rich and textured and valuable history. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it on KLEK. And I think you can ask any of my students that I'm very passionate about what I teach in class. Mm-hmm. And so I think a lot of it starts from that, realizing that we don't have to aspire to greatness. We were already there.
Okay.
We were already there. We just have to, I suppose, figure out how to, I don't want to say reclaim our mojo, because that's already there too. Maybe how to tap into it more effectively.
Okay.
Because I'm getting on to what she was saying about Miss Chapman and people of my age and a little older. It's so much that the older people don't tell the younger generation, and the younger generation falls in that gap trying to learn when we could teach them. But it's almost like that, the crawdad mentality. I got this far, I got mine, I learned what I'm, and don't want to teach no one else. That's one thing about our race. And we're trying to get out of that and let them, like I said, teach the younger people, step back. Like you said, the energy they have, let them go for it, but guide them through all the obstacles and all this stuff. I'm sitting up here watching you do that computer back and forth and all that. I'm just watching. Ain't no way in the world I know how to do all that. And the younger generation, the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, you can just give them a phone, they can work it.
Yeah,
they can work
absolutely.
it. So let's not work them into the capacity of learning and to instill in them Sojourner Truth. Harriet Tubman, and all these other ones.
You're absolutely right. Well, I mean, we could all stand to, that's why, as you know, Quavila. I'm always reading and posting stuff.
Yes.
I'm reading all the time, and I get excited about it, so I want to share it with other people. But just to add on to what Bernard said, it sometimes it is that attitude. Oftentimes it is that some people have had such painful experiences that they don't want to share. So I use my parents as an example. When they were in college, my mom sat in at restaurants. My dad helped integrate a library in Georgetown, South Carolina. But the pain of having lived through Jim Crow and the pain of living in a country where you as an American citizen would have to fight for your citizenship, full access to your citizenship, I think they wanted to believe that their kids were living in a better world and they didn't need to carry the burden of the pains that they had experienced. But I think some of that is necessary because we think it's always been this way and that we've always had this access. And that's not true. That's not true. I mean, my parents were smart and educated people, but I'm only about one, maybe two generations removed from coming from people who labored in the fields. And that's not that long ago. So.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Chelsea, can you give us your perspective?
Well, I totally agree with what Dr. Branch was saying. I totally think that it's about collective responsibility to be able to teach the younger generation, and even for my generation to go and talk, and we teach each other throughout the generations. I feel like that's very important. Thinking back to a couple weeks ago, I took my son to go to the Ruby Bridges Reading Festival in Memphis, and he was so excited that he got to meet Ruby Bridges because that was the only person that they learned about during Black History Month. The only person. And he was just like, but Mommy, you taught me about her before I learned about her at school. So, I just feel like it's definitely part of collective responsibility to teach our children that we are. My son, he's 2 generations removed. My grandmother was 97 years old when she died. She made 25 cents a week picking cotton in the fields. Her mother was a slave. My grandmother was born in 1920. She was a slave. Her mother was a slave. So for me, it's very important that, I reach out and I tell people to teach their kids, to teach their grandmothers, to teach their mothers. It's very important. And another thing about my generation, how you were talking about how do we get out of those chains and out of those bondages. One of the things that I see about my generation that saddens me is that we hypersexualize our women. We put our women on, and just that, I just would like to see us get away from that. I would like to see our men empowering each other instead of having small beefs over things that's taking lives away from, that could actually do something in this world. So I just feel like us coming together more full circle and embracing our history more, knowing that we had to go through things that were painful and that we should not be against each other because that's what they wanted for us. So just to see our generation come closer through collective responsibility, I think is what we need.
All right. I want to say good morning to Lachey Robinson. She says, I'm so excited about this event. Well, we're excited. I hope you come on out, Shay, and bring your baby and enjoy all the festivities. One thing I want to bring to the discussion, you all talk about, collective responsibility, building, creating for ourselves. I read some articles that talked about when African Americans tried to rise up and build for themselves, it was always destroyed, such as Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and other areas. I recently ran across a post during my Juneteenth research. There was a whole county in Missouri that got burned and destroyed. That was majority Black people. There were many other areas across the United States where Black people tried to have their own, little corner of the world. However, out of hatred, whatever, what would you say to people who, want to build again, or who want to really rise again but are apprehensive that, okay, we build, they're going to destroy?
Well, people have always been building. They didn't stop building because people were destroying. You see what I'm saying? And so, I think that's where the history is important, so that you understand that the struggle is not new. It's real, but it's not new. And so, when others destroy, you rebuild. Okay. Right? And the other point that I wanted to make is we always tend to think about these things happening in other parts of the country. All of that happened right here in Arkansas. Right? All that happened right here in Arkansas. Like, for example, West 9th Street in Little Rock, where the Mosaic Templars Cultural Center is located. That was Black Wall Street in Little Rock, Arkansas. And the Arkansas Educational Television Network has a video out about that called Dreamland. Okay. And it's Little Rock's West 9th Street or something like that. And it talks about this area where there were businesses and doctors and churches and schools and so on and so forth. And that was destroyed because the city of Little Rock built a highway to split the community in half. So it's right here. You can look at towns all around Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, that had black populations that were run out of town. So ethnic cleansing didn't just happen in other places, it happened in this state.
Not only are they rent out of town, big business just up and moved. And a lot of blacks held on to those positions, didn't know anything else to do but what they were doing. They was there 20, especially, I look at Helena and West Helena. I mean, when that tire company moved and that whatever else moved, it's almost a ghost town. But it was a flourishing community. It was booming back in the 70s and 60s when I came down here. I came here in the 70s. I got here quick, fast as I could, but I guess that wasn't fast enough. And Helena was the place to go from where I was growing up.
Helena, Pine Bluff.
Yes.
Pine Bluff.
Yes.
So.
And you go to Pine Bluff, I look at the population, it was down to like 40-some thousand, when it used to be up to 60,000 people. Wow.
I mean, and even right here in Jonesboro, right, in the Washington Avenue area, that was Jonesboro's black community.
Yes, it was.
That was Jonesboro's black community, where the Edie Mae Heron Center is now. That was Booker T. Washington High School. That was a segregated school. So again, we can look at other parts of the country, but we don't even have to leave Craighead County to know that history was here.
You just gave me an idea to start doing more research.
Oh, it never ends. And isn't it fun? It's so much fun.
Because you were talking about Washington Street. I mean, I was told they had hotels, they had restaurants, they had the little stores, and they didn't have to go.
They didn't have to go, and they couldn't, but that was okay because they were largely self-contained. And I would also say this: look to your community to get these kind of history, because I can think of 2 or 3 people right off the top of my head in Jonesboro who were in their 80s who would remember that well. And so those people need to be interviewed.
That's right.
And those stories need to be preserved before they pass on.
Before I get up there.
Because he's getting close. So.
All right, brother. All right. So before you get too old, can you tell us about this Saturday?
Okay, this Saturday, and I want to get homage back to the one that I know that first tried to get Juneteenth together, Mr. Ephraim Brown.
Yes.
I mean, he was the first one to try. He tried hard,
And we did it once, at least one time.
He did it twice, I think, for sure.
I did
he did it twice. And he tried hard to get together. He even came up the queen of the village. He was honoring the black women in this area. But it's just put a fire in our heart to keep it going. It was went down for 2 years, and now we got it back going, and we want to keep it going. This Saturday is going to be music, it's going to be education, a lot of speakers, food vendors will be there, local churches will be doing things, and the fire department will be out there, the police department will be out there. We're going to have game booths. We're going to got a new one here in town. Hamilton, what's his name? Tierra has his game bus, and he's gonna bring that. Yes, he gonna have that out there. So I give it up to Mr. Tierra. He's really doing some things for the education for the children, something for them to play with, something for them to motivate them. He's a good businessman. I mean, he got a head on his shoulders. He worked for insurance company, but Tierra is good. It's good. I mean, and he's gonna have characters. We're gonna have cartoon characters out there from different church. I mean, we just gonna have a lot of things to do from 10 till 3. It's going to be hot. You're welcome to bring your lawn chair, your awnings with fans, whatever your cover up, whatever you want.
Drink plenty of water so no one passes
Plenty
out.
of water. We will have water, but bring you some anyway.
And I want to. I'm just noticing some people who are just checking in. This is for everybody in the community.
Yes,
everybody in all caps in the Jonesboro community and beyond. Please come and join us and learn more about Juneteenth, because this is not just African American history; it is American history.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to Miss Lisa Bowers, or the Dr. Lisa Bowers Bone.
From
Arkansas State.
LB, what's up?
Thank you for checking in. Dr. Lily Fear says the struggle is not new. She's, I guess, giving you, that's a new quote by Dr. Jones Branch.
You got to know Miss Fears. You got to know Dr. Fears.
Yes.
So I want to put out some of the speakers that we have. We're going to open up with Reverend Greg Ota doing our opening prayer. Praying for God's blessing on the whole event.
Amen.
Dr. Sharice Jones Branch is going to come with our history and whatever other information she has provided. So we can't tell you all of that. You just got to come out and hear it. Mayor Harold Parent is going to give an address. I don't know exactly what his title is. I just gave him some direction on where to go. And so we shall see where he goes with that. Chief Rick Elliott from the Jonesboro Police Department, Dr. Kelly Danfus from the new A-State. Well, he's not technically, he's been there a year now. So the Arkansas State University Chancellor.
Yes.
Oh, you be there? Wow.
Our community member, Ms. Norma Farrell, is going to do some spoken word piece. Dr. Charles Coleman from Jonesboro City Council, Ward 2, Position 1, will give an address. Arkansas Senator John Cooper will be there. And unfortunately, Darius Dunaway had to drop out. He had another engagement. And also, Senator Cooper, I found another document that I've been sharing on my Facebook page. It's a bill that was passed in 2005. There's a quote in the Arkansas Senate. Basically commemorating or recognizing that the third Saturday of June is to be known as Juneteenth Independence Day. It's not an official holiday, but it is a day of observance, official day of observance. There are a group of people who are trying to petition Washington to make Juneteenth a national holiday. It is a national holiday in Texas already, and so far there are 45 other states that recognize Juneteenth as an observance, a day of observance. So I just want to encourage everyone to do your research, find a petition, reach out to your state representatives, and then reach out to those that are representing us in Washington. This is just important as July 4th and any other holiday out there.
And so just because, I know we are nationwide with the internet, anybody listening to us, find your Juneteenth celebration this weekend and promote, to help commemorate it and help produce it.
All right, so we're going to go to break, and Ms. Lisa says it should, and hashtag be a national holiday. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for that, LB.
And Mr. Shadrack Taylor said awesome program. We'll be right back after these announcements to wrap up, so stay tuned.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Too often we are too lax about allowing other people to spend our money, especially relatives, children, and romantic interests. Could this be you? Let's see. Track your spending for a month and put a special focus on money you're spending to provide for the wants and needs of others. In other words, buying things that they should do without or maybe even provide for themselves. For example, check for unnecessary spending on minor children. Food, water, clothing, shelter, and related utilities, these are the basics you should be spending your money on. Everything else, teach your kids to earn their own money to pay for it. The bottom line, no one has the right to spend your money. Don't allow others to drain your resources out of guilt, to prove your friendship, or as a show of love. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Gears Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing students with assistance in their academic and career pursuits. Gears Foundation on Facebook, Gears_Inc. on Instagram, and the Gears Foundation at gmail.com.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center, offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Teresa Beck, owner of Full Sun Gifts, 606 Southwest Drive in Jonesboro, is a proud supporter of KLEK. Full Sun Gifts offers a variety of gift ideas such as candles, fragrances, bath and body products, makeup, cosmetics, skincare, and more for birthdays, weddings, holidays, and all occasions. Details at Full Sun Gifts on Facebook and Instagram and 870-974-8480.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977, originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Hey ladies, it's Nettie Jones, the Girlfriend's Therapist. I'm here with my girls, Elise Lyles and Brianna Hill, the Fab Squad.
Hey!
We're coming to Jonesboro, KLEK 102.5 FM. So tune in every Wednesday from 10 to 11 to Your Life with Nettie Jones. We're living it fabulously every day. You don't want to miss it.
Tell a friend.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyer.com. House of Details, located at 3217 Herb Street, Suite C, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: waxing, clear coat protection, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more. With a motto of, anything mean, we can clean. Details available via Quentin Bogard at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and houseofdetailsjonesboro.com. Check out the Dorinda Clark Cole Radio Show every Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Listen as Dorinda plays the very best in contemporary gospel music and interviews all of your favorite gospel artists. The Dorinda Clark Cole Radio Show every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a non-profit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to non-profit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I've been your host for today, Quavila Jones, and my very special guest are Dr. Sharice Jones-French from Arkansas State University, where she's a history professor, and we have Brother Bernard Cobbs, our very own Victory Praise Gospel on Sunday and All Gospel Wednesday DJ, and Miss Chelsea Chapman from the city of Jonesboro. I can't thank you all enough for joining me today and joining in this conversation. And this conversation can take place more than just beyond this, hour. There's so much more that can be discussed. And I just want to remind everybody of our theme, remembering the past to build a better future. Because there's still so much work that we need to do in our society, all across the nation, across the world. Did I do something wrong?
No, he's messing with me.
Okay. I'm going to let my guests just have the last moments to share any final thoughts concerning Juneteenth and just, their feelings in general. So we're going to start with Dr. Branch.
I want to first applaud you for all the effort for taking the lead on this. And I know that it's been an interesting experience, but it's okay. My mother always says once you do a thing, you can do it again and you can do it better. And to please come, and somehow Bernard Cobb has talked me into baking 2 cream cheese pound cakes. So come and you can have a piece of that.
She's making this 2 cream cheese pound cake. Can you all see this here? Can it be seen?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This would be at the celebration. Cream cheese, sweet potato pie, and a regular sweet potato pie. I mean, it's just filling the room with aroma. So come on by. Just come on. This is just some of the things that we're going to be having. And my son-in-law is going to be doing a crayfish broil. So crayfish, crawdad egg, mud bug, whatever you want to call them.
All right, so protein shake for breakfast and then crawfish. And
all the food will be is not for sale, but we would like a donation.
And I have to give a shout out to JPD Dare Corporation, and I can't think of the other person's name right now. I'm sorry, please forgive me. They're going to be doing the grilling, and we have a generous donation from Frito-Lay for chips and generous donation of water from other organizations. So I can't thank the community enough that have come together. Please forgive me if I don't name you individually. I recognize you, and we appreciate you, every single person. Now, if somebody want to bring some chicken to put on the grill, you can do that
Ms.
too.
Chapman, you say something now.
I just want to say, just come out, guys. Come out, please come out. Bring your kids, your grandmoms, your aunties, your uncles. Just come out. Bring your friends that are not of African American descent, so that they can learn and that they can spread the word to other people. So we can squash ignorance. I feel like.
Amen. What an excellent note to end on.
Wow. Did she say it with that?
Yes, she did.
All right.
Young people.
Yes.
I want to thank Miss Lisa and every single person that's checked in, that has watched our KLEK live stream, and who are listening on the radio or on our mobile app. We can't do what we do without you, so thank you for your love and support of KLEK and Community Conversations. With that, that's it for the day. I just want to say, make plans to make the day great. If you haven't already, you're behind schedule. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be kind. So smile and make someone else's day great too. Thank you
Squash
for
ignorance.
Squash ignorance.
Squash ignorance.
Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK LP, Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council.
Good Thursday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. It'll be hot today in the low to mid-90s, partly sunny with a feel-like temperature 103. Light winds expected. Partly to mostly clear overnight in the muggy mid-70s. Partly to mostly sunny, hot again Friday in the mid-90s. It looks like a hot weekend coming up, low to mid-90s Saturday and Sunday, partly to mostly sunny, slight chance of a shower thunderstorm. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. The U.S. hopes to see a major disarmament by